3 spine-chilling true home invasion stories that reveal sinister secrets and unexplained terror. The moon hung low, casting eerie shadows across Maplewood's quiet streets. If you thought the suburbs were safe, think again. Lisa, a hard-working single mother, stepped out of the late-night convenience store and felt the familiar dread settle over her. It gnawed at the edges of comfort like an unseen predator. At 32, she was exhausted, but the feeling of being washed over her like ice water. Mr. Harris, the retired cop next door, lounged on his porch. There was something unsettling about the way he peered into her life, like a hawk sizing up its prey. She shivered, brushing it off as paranoia until her phone buzzed, grating and ominous. "You shouldn't have come home so late, Lisa." Her heart slammed against her ribcage. It had to be a prank. She hurried inside, locking the door behind her with trembling hands, convinced she was safe behind walls meant to protect her. But as darkness engulfed her, the gnawing sensation of a creeping terror returned. It clawed at her insides when she spotted the soft, squishy teddy bear on her porch, Emily's favorite. It shouldn't have been there. A full-blown panic erupted in her chest as she recalled leaving it safely inside. Was someone watching her? Had they been inside her home? Just as she reached for the phone, desperate to call for help, there was a heavy knock on the door. It jolted her, every nerve on high alert. Mr. Harris stood there, a concerned look plastered on his face. "I noticed you seemed a little uneasy. Just checking in." His presence loomed over her, suffocating her instincts. She managed a weak nod, feeling the chill seep through her veins, boiling her blood with unease. Then he offered to show her his basement. "It might help you feel more secure why I keep such a close watch on the neighborhood." Her heart raced as he turned, leading her down the creaky stairs. Darkness enveloped them, swallowing her instincts in a choking grip. As they entered the dimly lit room, her stomach lurched. Monitors flickered on the walls, casting ghostly illuminations on a hidden world, a network of surveillance. Cameras steadily observing every inch of the neighborhood. Sweat beaded on her forehead. This was more than just a watchful eye. It was a twisted intrusion. "Everything is recorded," he said, a manic grin stretching across his face. "For your safety, of course." It was a chilling betrayal. Instead of community, Lisa saw control. Panic surged within her. She needed to escape. She took a step back, her instincts screaming for her to flee, but the walls seemed to close in around her. Unexpectedly, a presence loomed behind her. Before she could react, dread solidified into reality as Mr. Harris turned, eyes wide with something dark and unnatural. Terror ripped through her like a jagged knife. Could this be the end? She had trusted the safety of her home, her neighbors, her community. Now it felt like a suffocating prison filled with lies. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The air thickened with tension, panic and uncertainty twisted together like a noose. If she could just get back up those stairs, but he advanced, the shadows dancing around them, the smile on his lips morphing into something far more sinister. The realization crashed over her. She had never truly been alone. The weight of the truth bore down, monstrous and vile. Would she escape this horror? Or had safety transformed into her greatest nightmare? Lisa's breath quickened as Mr. Harris inched closer, that creeping smile still plastered on his face. The shadows bobbed and swirled around him, like tendrils reaching out to pull her into some unfathomable abyss. What lay behind those eyes? She felt trapped, her heart a relentless drum echoing through the stifling air. "Everything is for your protection," he crooned, his voice smooth as silk but laced with venom. A creeping chill crawled up her spine, and every instinct screamed for her to run. But her feet felt glued to the ground. Panic surged, an electric wave crashing through her mind. In one fluid motion, she turned, desperate for escape. A sudden raspy laugh pierced the darkness like a blade. "You think you can hide from me?" His words wrapped around her, binding her in terror. She dashed for the stairs, every fiber of her being surged with urgency. The wooden steps creaked under her weight as she stumbled upward, her pulse racing. As she reached the door, she fumbled with the handle, her fingers trembling. But it wouldn't budge. The weight of dread pressed down on her, a physical presence. She turned back. Mr. Harris stood at the bottom step, arms folded casually, his smile growing grotesque. You shouldn't have come here, Lisa. You could have been safe, but now you must face the consequences. Dread pooled in her gut, hot and suffocating. This was no longer a neighborhood watch. This was a twisted game. You don't have to do this, she shouted, her voice cracking. I just want to go home. Home? Oh, my dear, that was the problem. You never truly were home. The laughter echoed around her, hollow and cold. In that instant, Lisa realized it wasn't only her house that had been invaded. It was her mind. With a surge of adrenaline, she swung the door open, propelled by sheer instinct. She dashed outside, the cool night air hitting her like a freight train. She tore across the yard, heart thundering in her ears. She glanced back. Mr. Harris had remained still, a shadowy figure against the light of the basement. He simply watched her, his smile unwavering. Unnatural. Desperation drove her forward, across the lawn and into the street. Suddenly, a scream bubbled up, a raw, primal sound that echoed against the eerie stillness. Help, please. The words escaped her lips before she could stop them, carried off into the night. But the street remained empty, silent as a grave. She scanned the rows of houses, searching for light, for movement. Somewhere, a dog barked, breaking the tension momentarily, but the streets swallowed the sound. Shivering, Lisa felt the icy fingers of fear draping over her shoulders again. She was truly alone out here. Then she remembered Emily. Her daughter was still at home, blissfully unaware. No, the thought hit her like a punch to the gut. Not her little girl. Lisa's heart sank. She turned, the realization suddenly freezing her in place. The street lamp flickered ominously. She had no choice. She had to go back. But as she approached her house, the door stood ajar. It swung lightly on its hinges. Panic choked her throat. Had he? That terrible feeling of being watched now turned suffocating. The darkness inside seemed to beckon, taunting her with the dangers that lurked within. Just before she stepped inside, a flash from the basement flickered through the window. The monitors. Everything is recorded, he had said. Could she trust that they would show her a way out? Or was it a trap, designed to ensnare her even deeper into horror? As she stood on the threshold, fear clamped around her like a vice. What awaited her on the other side? With one final deep breath, she crossed the threshold into a darkness thicker than any night she had ever known. Did she truly understand the lengths to which Mr. Harris would go? Or was this just the beginning of her descent into a terror beyond reason? The house swallowed her whole, darkness wrapping around her like a shroud. She paused, heart racing, breath shallow. The coldness seemed to seep into her bones, heavy and oppressive. Each creak of the floorboards underfoot echoed in the suffocating air, a reminder that she was not alone. Lisa stepped inside, trembling. Emily, she called, but her voice broke, swallowed by the silence. Time stretched and distorted around her. She strained her ears, the stillness pressing down like a weight. Mom. A small voice came from the direction of the living room. Relief washed over Lisa, mixing with dread. That familiar sweetness would soon vanish if she didn't act quickly. Stay right there, sweetheart, she shouted, her heart clawing at her ribcage. Each step felt like a betrayal, the floorboards groaning with her weight. Lisa moved cautiously through the darkened house, adrenaline sharpening her senses. Shadows flickered along the walls, dancing sinisterly. She could still feel Mr. Harris's presence lurking just beyond, like a predator waiting to pounce. Emily, where are you? She entered the living room, eyes darting, searching for her daughter. But the sight that greeted her sent shards of ice through her veins. The monitors were still on, casting ghostly blue light across the room. Each screen displayed different angles of her house, showing the spaces she had just crossed herself in real time, and, behind her, the kitchen. Mom. Emily's voice chimed again, but closer now. Struggling against the mounting terror, Lisa tore her gaze from the monitors. Time seemed to stretch. She could hear her daughter, tiny footsteps scampering towards her. When she finally found her, Emily stood in the hallway, clutching a teddy bear, her innocent eyes wide, radiating confusion. Why are the lights off? Are we playing hide and seek? But there was no time for games. Lisa rushed forward, pulling her daughter into her arms, fear clawing at her mind. We need to leave now? She whispered urgently. Why? Emily asked, puzzled, her small voice shattering Lisa's heart. Mr. Harris said it was safe. What? Lisa froze, panic rising like bile in her throat. What do you mean? Emily pointed to the living room where the monitors hummed ominously. He said we're supposed to play a game. He is watching us. It's fun. The edges of Lisa's vision blurred. Anger and dread knitted together, and she felt her sanity fraying. No. Emily, we have to get out. Mom, don't be scared. The little girl said with surprising calm. He.S. nice. I've been waiting for you. The chilling conviction in Emily's voice made Lisa's stomach lurch. It was as if Emily had crossed into a realm of manipulation Lisa didn't understand. Then it struck her. The monitors weren't just showing footage, they were feeding something. To whom? Something shifted in the shadows, a presence growing stronger. A whisper glided through the air, slithering into Lisa's ears. Time to play a different game. With a sudden surge of instinct, Lisa yanked Emily closer. We're going, right now? But as they turned to flee, the basement door creaked open, the darkness spilling out like a malignant fog. Stop! The whispered command hung in the air, the smile of Mr. Harris emerging from the void. The creeping chill was back, wrapping around Lisa like a vice. You can't leave yet, the game has just begun. Her blood ran cold. In that moment, as dread coursed through her, she realized with bone-deep terror that she had only just stepped into the heart of a nightmare woven with malice and deceit. Could she protect Emily from the monster lurking around them? Or was there only salvation concealed within that sinister game? As the basement beckoned with its swirling shadows, Lisa braced herself, confronted not just with the horror in the room, but the nightmare unveiling behind the veil of trust. What would happen next? The whispered command twisted in the air like a snake ready to strike. Lisa's heart pounded, drowning out the silence. She clutched Emily tighter, that warm little body a fragile shield against the encroaching darkness. Sweat trickled down her spine as she exchanged fearful glances with the basement's yawning mouth, the shadows inside swirling like smoke. Mom, Emily began, looking up at Lisa, those innocent eyes filled with an unsettling calmness. Mr. Harris just wants to play. No, Lisa yelled, her voice breaking. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, but she could feel the icy tendrils of fear wrapping around her ankles, holding her in place. We're not playing anymore. With a sudden decision, she broke from the confines of their spot, darting toward the front door. Emily stumbled after her, the teddy bear swinging dangerously from her grip. The moment Lisa turned the knob, a fierce resistance pushed back, as if unseen hands pressed against the door, weighing down heavily on it. Mommy, Emily wailed, pulling on Lisa's sleeve. In the depths of that darkness, a low, sinister chuckle echoed, quickening Lisa's breath. Mr. Harris was watching, waiting. She felt dread clawing at her insides as she turned to face the sound, searching for the source of that menacing voice. Didn't you hear what he said? Emily asked softly, her own voice trembling now. He's just trying to help. Terror bloomed in Lisa's chest. Help? This isn't help, Emily. It's not safe. She felt the edges of her sanity erode, every instinct screaming that they needed to escape. Mom, Emily's gaze drifted over Lisa's shoulder, eyes widening. He's right behind you. All at once, the atmosphere shifted. The room grew dense with a malevolence that pressed against her skin. Lisa whirled around, but the only thing she saw was darkness thick, overwhelming. And then, a flash. A white smile cut through the gloom. Isn't it wonderful? Mr. Harris stepped into view, looking impossibly calm, dressed in an outfit that seemed too pristine for the chilling chaos surrounding them. Time for the real game to begin. Lisa's mind slipped into overdrive. What are you talking about? She felt paralyzed by horror, yet another instinct pushed her to protect Emily. Stay back, she shouted at the man, shoving Emily behind her. But Emily gripped her wrist, refusing to be shielded. Mom, he's nice. No. Lisa tugged at her daughter, but Emily resisted. You'll like it. We can have so much fun. Let us ask the question, shall we? Mr. Harris said, stepping slowly closer. The very air flickered with tension, and every fiber of Lisa's being screamed to run. What is more important, your fear or your love for her? Let us find out. He leaned in, voice dripping with malice. Choose wisely, or the game ends badly for you both. Lisa's breath hitched. There was a game at play here, but the rules were shrouded in deception. She had no idea what he was truly capable of. What would happen if she failed? Choose. She echoed, heart racing, grappling with the urgency of the moment. What could she do? The basement door opened wider, the shadows calling to her, seductive and malevolent. Every rational thought was drowned out by the swell of primal fear gripping her heart. Emily, you have to trust me, Lisa begged, tears pricking. There was an undercurrent of desperation in her voice. We can get out of this. I promise. Emily's small hand slipped from her grasp, stepping toward Mr. Harris. But Mommy, he's so fun. Time stood still. The realization crashed down on Lisa like a wave. She was losing her daughter to this madness, to a monster hiding behind a mask of charm. In that moment, as dread tangled with hope, a terrifying question pulsed through her mind. What was the cost of losing? And then, unexpectedly, a low rumble trembled through the house. It wasn't just the walls closing in, it was something deeper, something rising. Lisa turned, her heart pounding, as the sound of laughter wove through the air, eerie and hollow. Was it Mr. Harris? Or something else altogether? The basement loomed ahead, an invitation to darkness. Breathing heavy with unspeakable promises. What lay within? She wondered as the ground shook again. Straining against the fear gripping her, she leaned toward her daughter, ready to do anything, even if it meant confronting the depths of hell itself to save her. And with that resolve, she took a step forward, but what awaited her was beyond anything she could fathom. The world around them shrank, the shadows expanding as if they sought to envelop Lisa and Emily completely. Lisa's breath quickened, panic clawing at her throat. But it was the disquieting stillness behind her that hung in the air like a threat, pulsating under the weight of Mr. Harris's smile. Are you ready to play? He taunted, his voice smooth and deadly, a banked fire hidden beneath an oily surface. No, Lisa gasped, stepping forward instinctively, a mother's primal urge igniting within. It didn't matter that fear painted her steps. All that mattered was Emily. Stay back. Don't touch my daughter. You're being rude, Mr. Harris replied, his voice drifting through the room with a glint of superiority. Emily wants to have fun, and so do you. Why not let go of your fears? As if in response, the air shimmered, twisting with palpable energy. The noise had subsided, replaced by an oppressive silence, a vastness where even the faintest sounds of their breath felt smothered. Lisa hugged Emily tighter, every inch of her screaming to flee. But they were rooted, ensnared by the weight of unholy curiosity and fear. With a tremor in her voice, Lisa asked, "What do you want?" "I want to unveil what lies within," he said, eyes flickering in the dark like controlled flames. "You, me, and this fascinating little puzzle." He gestured behind him, towards the open basement door, black, yawning, an abyss that seemed to beckon with promises of chaos. The shadows danced dangerously, shapes flickering and shifting as they tried to take form. Lisa felt bile rise in her throat. There's nothing down there but darkness. She spat, but even she could hear the uncertainty crackling in her words. "The darkness is not our enemy," Mr. Harris whispered conspiratorially, leaning closer. "Fear resides in the light of knowing. You're afraid of what isn't seen. Let us bring it out." Emily's fingers brushed against her mother's arm, calm and unwavering. "But he knows things he can show us," she murmured, the innocence in her voice chilling Lisa to her core. "No, he's lying. He's lying," Lisa pleaded, but panic flooded her voice, sounding hollow in the tense atmosphere. She could see Emily's eyes sparkle, drawn to the hypnotic danger, resolving to step closer to Mr. Harris, each movement pulling at Lisa's heart like a chilling weight. "Emily," Lisa cried, a burst of despair watering her eyes, "he's not your friend." A high-pitched laugh echoed suddenly, breaking the suffocating tension, splitting the silence like glass. The walls seemed to vibrate with it, sending violent ripples through the room, knocking Lisa off balance. "Let her go?" Lisa shouted, clutching Emily, who now seemed disinterested in her plea, captivated by the stranger who offered adventure. "Adventure or fear," Mr. Harris countered smoothly, taking another step forward, "but you must decide." Choose to embrace it, and you will be rewarded. Rewarded? The thought echoed darkly in Lisa's mind. What reward came from risking her daughter? All she knew was terror. She felt like they were on the edge of a cliff, swaying dangerously over the unknown. The basement door creaked wider, shadows spilling out like liquid ink, flowing toward them. "Mommy," Emily breathed, her small voice barely audible over the encroaching darkness. "I want to go play no?" Lisa shouted, the word ripping from her throat. In that moment of desperation, Lisa lunged, grasping at Emily. But it was as if time had slowed, making every movement agonizing. A heavy force pulled her back while Mr. Harris's smile only widened, a glimmer of something feral flashing beneath the surface. "Then let us play a game of truths," he declared cheerfully, and the walls seemed to shudder with his words, vibrating with an unspeakable energy that made the hairs on Lisa's arms stand on end. Suddenly, the room darkened as if a cloud had swallowed the light. Lisa's heart raced, the shadows coiled around her, and she could taste the darkness on her tongue, bitter and heavy. What truths lay hidden in the given choice? Far from over, Lisa felt the tipping point approach, drawing closer. With every heartbeat, she had to act now, with Emily feeling lost in the grip of the maddening unknown. And as her resolve solidified, leaving nothing but fury and love, Lisa made her final decision. But in the chaos that surged forth, nothing could prepare them for what awaited beneath the weight of those lingering shadows. "Step into the abyss," Mr. Harris mocked, his voice echoing like a curse. Would they fall, or would they escape? The answer hung heavily in the dark as both mother and daughter plunged into the chaos that beckoned them. One moment, nothing but stifling blackness. The next, they were hurtling downward, the world above slipping away like sand through fingers. Lisa clutched Emily against her, a feeble shield against whatever awaited them. The air around them twisted, a cacophony of whispers spiraling through the void. It brushed against her skin, icy and invasive, crawling up her spine. Thud! They landed hard, bodies slamming against a cold concrete floor. A harsh breath escaped Lisa's lips as pain shot through her bones. Her eyes struggled to adjust in the dim lighting that flickered like dying embers. The room was vast, empty but for sinister shadows that slithered along the walls, each darker than the last. "Mommy?" Emily's voice wavered, echoing softly around them. "Stay close," Lisa rasped, pushing herself upright. Panic surged through her as she felt the icy tendrils of fear wrap around her heart. She glanced around, trying to find a way out. A heavy door stood opposite them, bolted tight with rusting iron. No windows, no light, just suffocating walls. Mr. Harris had been left behind at the threshold, watching with a grin that radiated malevolence. "Welcome, my dear players. The game has only just begun," he called out, his voice smooth but laced with menace, vibrating like a taut string ready to snap. "Let us go," Lisa shouted, tempered desperation edging into her words. She tugged Emily closer, instinctively searching her daughter's face for the innocence that had been slowly draining away. But that light now flickered dimly, dimmed by curiosity, maybe even allure. "It's okay, Mommy. He knows how to help us," Emily whispered, her gaze locked onto Mr. Harris, captivated and utterly lost. "No," Lisa snapped, biting back tears. "Don't listen to him, baby. He's just trying to trick you. He wants us to see," Emily replied, stepping forward, her small feet betraying her mother's frantic grasp. The shadows behind her swirled eagerly, almost eager for Emily's treachery against the safety of her mother. "Emily, no?" Lisa cried, lunging forward again, but this time, a blinding flash of light erupted from the walls, stunning her into immobility. The shadows recoiled, revealing a twisted glimpse of what lay ahead, a warped room filled with mirrors. Each reflection captured parts of themselves that felt more like ghosts than reality, contorted and distorted. "Come see your truth," Mr. Harris beckoned, his voice reverberating with newfound authority. Emily's hand slipped free from Lisa's grip, eyes wide with wonder as she stepped toward the nearest mirror, where something sinister flickered behind her reflection, a flicker identical to her own, but not quite. An echo of laughter, almost melodic, danced in the air. "Don't touch it," Lisa screamed, but her voice felt swallowed by the oppressive atmosphere. The reflection changed instantly, Twisting into something darker, moans of despair echoed from the glass, filling their space with chilling echoes of trapped souls. Lisa's breath quickened, the walls pressing in, the threat palpable. Lies and truths, Mr. Harris chanted, a maddening rhythm that pulsated through the air. Which will you choose? Emily, come back. Lisa's heart raced, her legs sinking into a quagmire of anxiety. But Emily was entranced, captivated by her own distorted image, a skin that seemed to beckon her closer. Just a few more steps in that moment. Lisa's world narrowed into razor-sharp focus, Emily's small figure juxtaposed against the terrifying reflection that promised to consume her. She only had seconds, but every molecule in her body sensed the impending doom lurking in the shadows. The reflections shifted again, darkening further as whispers became chants, commands obscured by malevolence. Choose or lose, echoing voices taunted, causing the air to thrum with a foreboding energy. Lisa's heart thundered in her chest, and with it, the realization struck her hard: she couldn't lose her daughter to this horror. As time dripped away, she had to make a choice, but which would it be? Emily. Her voice broke through the dense fog, bursting with desperation. We have to go? We can't stay here. In that moment of clarity, she saw the hesitation cross Emily's features, but the allure of the dark reflection still tugged at her heart. Would it tear them apart? The shadows writhed, closing in like a noose, every second stretching into eternity. Would Lisa's love be strong enough to rip through the binding darkness? Or would she be doomed to watch her daughter be forever lost? No, she screamed, lunging forward, but the reflection twisted, ready to drag Emily into its depths. What truth awaited them if she failed to act? What nightmares lurked in that deceptive mirror? Time faded further into chaos, leaving only one horrifying question lingering. Was the price of escape too high to pay? Emily's eyes went wide, locked onto the mirror, entranced by the dark figure that danced just beyond its surface. The echoes of laughter twisted into something darker, a happy melody turned grotesque. It sent chills through Lisa, paralyzing her as the shadows tightened around her like sneering vipers eager to strike. Emily, please, listen to me. Lisa's voice cracked, desperation clawing at her throat. The weight of the room pressed in, a cocoon of suffocating dread. She could feel the pull of the mirror, a magnetic force. The air thickened with anxiety, and for a moment, time felt suspended in the surging tidal wave of terror. Mommy, I want to see. Emily's gaze shifted towards Lisa, confusion and temptation swirling in her expression. What is wrong with it? What's wrong? Lisa spat, incredulity mixing with fear. It's a lie. It's not real. Look at me, baby. Come back. But Emily was already stepping closer, the surface of the mirror rippling like water disturbed by a pebble. The reflections warped, twisting like fingers clawing at the edges. Lisa's heart raced. Each heartbeat screamed with urgency. Choose or lose, the whispering chorus wrapped around them, taunting, escalating into a clamor that threatened to drown out her thoughts. No, not my daughter. Lisa lunged, desperately trying to bridge the distance, but the shadows surged forward, lashing out like serpents. A surge of fear coursed through her body, momentarily freezing her mid-stride. Would she be swallowed whole? The mirror's dark reflection shifted again. Now, its edges seeped like old ink, thick and malignant. Lisa's fingers brushed against that icy surface, trying to reach for Emily. It felt slick, unnatural, pulling at her fingertips like it wanted to snatch her away too. Mommy. The helplessness in Emily's voice jolted Lisa. She pushed herself, fueled by pure instinct. With a primal scream, she grasped Emily's hand just as the mirror sparked alive. Stay away from it, she shouted, yanking Emily back hard, the thunderous energy exploding outward, shattering the stifling silence in a blinding flash. The mirror cracked, splintering the reflection and revealing the darkness trapped within faces twisted in despair, their cries suffocated by the longing to escape. Lisa's grip was firm on Emily's wrist, pulling her back with a force that belayed the shrinking shadows. The air crackled with residual energy, the collapsing illusions shimmering just beyond their grasp. Run, she gasped, her heart pounding against her ribs. Emily hesitated, staring at the fractured mirror, as if part of her still sought the answers hidden within. Run! The command echoed in her mind, pushing through the haze of confusion. Lisa could feel the tapping urge of darkness behind her, a sinister whisper that tried to wrap itself around Emily once more. Primal instinct flared in her chest, urging her to run from the room, from Mr. Harris, from everything that felt wrong. She pulled Emily along, dragging her deeper into the flickering shadows, hoping for a way out, yet fearing the fate that lay beyond each corner. But the room twisted as they ran. Walls elongated, stretching and folding unnaturally, the heavy door now miles away. Lisa spun in all directions, searching desperately for an escape. It was futile. The more they fought, the more the space contorted, the darkness latching onto them like a lingering ghost. "Mommy," Emily whimpered, her little hands trembling and eyes glistening with tears. "I know, baby, I know." Lisa breathed, panic lacing her voice. "We have to keep moving." Suddenly, a shriek erupted from behind them, sending waves of horror rippling through the air. It was followed by a sound so raw and anguished that Lisa felt it in her bones, a desperate plea. "Choose." "It's time," Mr. Harris's voice echoed all around them, smooth and sinister. "Let us go," Lisa shouted, pulling Emily tighter against her as they rushed into the cold embrace of the shadows. But as they darted forward, Lisa glimpsed a glimmer ahead, narrowing her focus through the deepening dark. It flickered like a beacon, lighting a pathway that promised escape, yet spawned doubt about what lay beyond it. Was it freedom or another trap? With every breath, Lisa felt the shadows clawing at her back as the walls pulsed, closing in around them. The certainty of safety slipped like grains of sand again. Did they choose wisely? In that haunting moment, as they raced toward the flickering glow, another chilling voice whispered from the darkness behind them. "Welcome to the end of your choices. What awaited them on the other side?" The question hung heavy as despair clawed its way through. Would they emerge, or would they be consumed by the darkness that hungered for their souls? The flickering glow danced like a dying ember, both welcoming and terrifying. Shadows writhed at the edges of Lisa's vision, threatening to snuff out the light before they could reach it. The air was thick, a ghostly fog wrapping around them as Lisa pulled Emily closer. Each hurried step felt like a leap into the unknown. "Mommy, I'm scared," Emily shivered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know, baby, but we can't stop," Lisa urged, fighting her own rising panic. The echo of Mr. Harris's voice lingered, a malignant reminder that their peril was far from over. As they drew nearer, the glow intensified, revealing a doorway that hadn't been there moments before. A heavy wooden door stood ajar, the interior beyond it shrouded in soft, billowing white light. Was this the escape they prayed for, or a different kind of trap? The door creaked as she nudged it open wider, the breeze carrying a hint of something sweet yet tainted. It felt oddly inviting, luring her with promises of safety. The faint sound of laughter floated through the threshold, eerily reminiscent of the children's voices they heard from the mirror. "No, don't," Emily's voice cut through Lisa's thoughts, warning her of the illusion before it was too late. But something flickered in her mind, an instinct to seek comfort. A place where darkness couldn't reach them. Shaking her head, Lisa fought against the compelling warmth emanating from the doorway. "I can't let you go near that. Let us keep moving," she urged, pulling Emily away. Almost immediately, the atmosphere shifted. The shadows behind them thickened, a living darkness that twisted angrily, fuming at their defiance. From the depths, the whispers molded into a cacophony, an angry storm raging as hopeless cries echoed around them. Suddenly, the floor beneath them quaked. The door creaked ominously, unwilling to relinquish its grip on whatever lay beyond. "Mommy!" Emily cried, bolting in the opposite direction. Lisa followed, but it was as if the room shifted around them, destiny weaving a web that tightened with each passing heartbeat. "Why is this happening?" Lisa gasped, bewilderment mixing with fear. "Because you wanted to look." The voice of Mr. Harris was now icy, a malevolent sneer dripping with satisfaction. The shadows surged, grasping at Lisa's ankles and pulling her downward, a relentless tide of despair. "No," she screamed, thrashing against the dark arms holding her captive. But she felt herself being dragged back, closer to the mirror that had started all this. Panic surged through her veins, electrifying her movements. With one desperate lunge, Lisa managed to break free from the dark tendrils. "Emily, we have to find another way." But as she turned, the room itself seemed to fold and twist, morphing into a labyrinth of despair. The walls shifted, constructing a maze of shadows that her eyes struggled to comprehend. The echoes of children's laughter morphed into cries of anguish that wove into a harrowing melody, chilling her blood. She clenched her teeth against the rising tide of dread, forcing her to focus on Emily, a beacon of innocence caught in the waves of darkness. "Mommy, I can't." Emily sobbed, collapsing to her knees. "It's too much. Get up. We need to move." Lisa shouted, forcing herself to stay strong, even as her heart threatened to shatter. The whispers could taste her fear. The shadows seemed to thrum with anticipation. "Join us, it's always better here." The chorus entwined around her, velvet and sinister, pulling at her consciousness. "No," Lisa shouted at the dark. "I want to let you take her." With a burst of adrenaline, she scooped Emily into her arms and pivoted, racing toward the lone sliver of light on the far side of the room. The air crackled with tension, vibrating, alive all the while the darkness howled in anger behind them. Could they break through? Bravery surged as Lisa sprinted, her vision narrowing, the cold sweat trickling down her spine. But just as they approached the light, the shadows pulled ahead, solidifying into a wall of swirling darkness that formed a sinister blockade. In that moment, Lisa understood. The light was no haven. It was another layer of deceit. Behind its brightness loomed an unspeakable truth, a reflection of their worst fears made manifest. The darkness rattled with frustration, the whispers now a climactic symphony of anguish, eager to consume every spark of hope. As the shadows lunged, clenching around them, something shifted in the air, a low growl that rumbled through the chaos. And then, silence. The emptiness echoed, thick and oppressive, as they stood at the threshold of the unknown. Were they truly safe, or merely delaying the inevitable? "Mommy?" Emily's voice trembled, uncertainty wrapping around her words like a shroud. "Just hold on," Lisa replied, but her heart sank as the darkness closed in. The impending threat crept closer, the shadows pulsing with insatiable hunger. They had to decide: stay and face what awaited them, or plunge into the void, risking everything for a chance at escape. What would they choose? The answer loomed, twisted and terrorizing, just beyond the thin veneer of light. The silence pinched the air, wrapping Lisa and Emily in a suffocating grip. For a heartbeat, it felt like the world held its breath. Lisa's heart thundered in her chest, each beat echoing like a warning against the creeping dread that filled the space around them. "Mommy," Emily whispered again, and the fragility in her voice sent a fresh wave of terror coursing through Lisa. She took a tentative step forward, scanning their surroundings, desperately seeking a sign, a way out. But the room had transformed. It was no longer the space they'd reckoned with. The shadows had thickened, moving with a mind of their own, closing in, pressing against her skin like a vice. "Stay close," she murmured, her own courage faltering as she clutched Emily tightly. The whispers that had haunted them surged once more, low and insistent, taunting them from every corner. They promised salvation, beckoning with soft, sultry voices that twisted through the fog. Each word seemed to claw at Lisa's sanity. "Mommy, what do they want?" Emily's eyes glistened with tears, reflecting fear and confusion. Lisa could barely breathe around the dread settling in her throat. "I don't know, sweetheart, but we can't listen to them." Lisa forced herself to march forward, even as the shadows writhed with impatience. The flickering light that had once drawn them to the door now felt like a cruel joke. It mocked their plight, illuminating the endless despair that surrounded them. Suddenly, a distant thud echoed through the air, harmonic with the cadence of an unwelcome revelation. Lisa jerked, instinctively pulling Emily closer, her instincts screaming. Was it real? Had something just moved in the darkness? A chill washed over her skin. "We shouldn't have come here," she breathed, the weight of that realization crashing down like a tidal wave. The shadows danced, seeming to pulse with malevolent glee. Out of the silence, a voice broke through, a slithering whisper that sent icy fingers crawling up Lisa's spine. "Join us, we are never alone." It curled around her, promising comfort, companionship in darkness. She shook her head violently, shuddering against the encroaching shadows. "Run, Emily. We have to find a way out." They ran now, fear propelling them deeper into the confusing abyss. The path twisted and turned as if it had a life of its own. Walls shifted, creating a maze intent on trapping them. Emily stumbled, and Lisa barely caught her, managing to keep them upright. With each corner they turned, the laughter grew louder, now mingled with the sound of muffled cries. It was a haunting chorus that made Lisa's heart race. She was losing her daughter. In search of refuge, she spotted a narrow gap in the wall ahead, a glimmer that offered a brief respite from the chaos. "Over there," she shouted, pointing. They dashed towards it, but just as they reached the opening, an angry roar erupted behind them. "Leave." The voice of Mr. Harris boomed, sharp and jagged, echoing through the shadows. A blur of darkness shot past them, breaking through the light like a bolt of lightning. Lisa's heart stopped. She recognized that figure. It was familiar yet grotesque, a twisted silhouette of the man who had once been a benign teacher. "Mommy!" Emily screamed, her terror slicing through Lisa's resolve. With renewed panic, Lisa dove through the narrow gap, pulling Emily along as the air thickened behind them. What lay beyond felt uncertain, an undiscovered realm that might lead to safety or doom. Emerging into another dimly lit corridor, they skidded to a stop, the weight of reality crashing down again. An endless stretch of darkness lay ahead, punctured only by slivers of light that flickered ominously. She peered back, dread pooling in her stomach as shadows whispered and writhed. The growl returned, rumbling like thunder. Lisa felt it reverberate through her bones, calling to the very essence of her fear. They couldn't stay in the corridor either. It was just another trap waiting to be sprung. "Come on." She steeled herself, checking to make sure Emily was safe. But insecurity gnawed at her thoughts, and with every second, the shadows drew closer. As they took off again, Lisa caught a glimpse of something darting in the congealed darkness, something small and quick. Her breath hitched as dread settled deeper. It was a child one with hollow eyes and a smile that twisted frighteningly wide. "Help us, join us," it whispered, reaching out towards them. Lisa felt the world lurch beneath her, everything spinning as the shadows clawed at the edges of her consciousness. She squeezed Emily's hand tighter. "Never look back," she urged, but doubt flooded her mind. This labyrinth was no safe haven. And then, just as they rounded another corner, the ground gave way beneath them. Sinking further into an abyss, terror screamed from Lisa's throat. What awaited them below? Nothing promised safety anymore. Would they be trapped forever in the shadows, or could they escape the darkness that relentlessly pursued them? The deep ache of fear settled as they disappeared into the depths, leaving the echoes of the lively whispers hauntingly behind them. What darkness lingered down there, waiting to consume them whole? The descent felt like being swallowed whole by blackness, the suffocating weight pressing against their chests. Lisa held Emily tightly, her heart racing like a drum, terrified of what awaited them at the bottom. They landed with a soft thud in an expansive, cavernous room of vast void illuminated by flickering, sputtering lights. Shadows danced around them, twisting and writhing, feeding off the last remnants of their hope. "Mommy, I don't like this place," Emily whimpered, her small hands trembling in Lisa's grasp. "Me neither, sweetheart. But we can't give in," Lisa whispered resolutely, desperation igniting her instincts. "We've come too far." Panic surged through her as she surveyed their surroundings, searching for some semblance of an exit. To her relief, a sliver of light flickered in the distance, a promise of safety clouded by an undercurrent of temptation. But lingering doubts clawed at her. Was it a mirage or an escape? "Just keep your eyes on me, Emily. Whatever happens, don't look away," she warned, dragging them toward the light. With every step, the shadows hissed, whispering venomous lies. "Join us," embraced the truth. They swirled around her, trying to seep into her mind, stealing her resolve. "No," Lisa shouted, cutting through the murmurs as she shielded Emily with her body, trying to drown out the noise. "We will not be part of your game." She gritted her teeth, pushing forward against the oppressive whispers, all while the light grew ever closer. But the ground below them quaked suddenly, throwing them off balance. A rumble surged through the dark, and the room pulsed with an energy vibrant yet hostile. "Mommy!" Emily cried, clutching at Lisa, her innocence unraveling beneath the weight of fear. "Stay close," Lisa yelled, her breath harsh as she fought against the chaotic tide. The shadows swelled, reaching for them like dark tendrils, desperate to reclaim what they had lost. And then, out of the darkness, a familiar figure emerged, Mr. Harris, standing there with an unsettling grin, unmistakably pleased with the chaos swirling around them. "This is where the story unfolds, my dear players," he crooned, the sinister edge sharpened by the encroaching shadows. "Get away from us," Lisa shouted, instinctively placing herself between her daughter and him. She felt a surge of bravery surge in her chest. "You want to take her. You misunderstand," he said slowly, his tone patronizing. "I'm merely showing you the way. The truth of your fears, wrapped in a game of choices." The shadows pulsed in response, eager, hungry. "This isn't a game," Lisa roared, clenching her fists. "You're manipulating us." The laughter that followed echoed through the cavern, hollow and cruel, igniting the shadows as the laughter enveloped them with its sickening embrace. "Then choose wisely," he remarked, taking a step forward, arms outstretched as if to invite them to dance with disaster. "You have the chance to embrace freedom, but it requires sacrifice. What do you want more, your child or the life you used to live?" Despite the terror biting at her sanity, a fierce resolve blossomed within Lisa. "Neither. We want to play your game." She pulled Emily closer, anchoring them against the incoming dark tide. The shadows hissed, but their form began to waver, searching for a way forward. "But your love for her will be your undoing," he said, voice thick and syrupy. He struck a match amidst the darkness, tossing it into a storm of swirling chaos. A bright flash illuminated the black, revealing distorted faces twisted in agony behind the shadows. The anguish of those who had fallen before them reached out, as if to warn them. "No!" Lisa screamed, yanking Emily away, moving as if propelled by the fury of a thunderstorm. "We must, Mommy. I see the door." Emily pointed, her innocence bolstered by hope. Lisa looked, heart leaping. A creaking wooden door stood open ahead, light spilling into the cavern like a lifeline. "Then let us go?" she shouted, fiercely desperate as they sprinted toward it, her heart pounding, echoing with love and fear. But Mr. Harris's voice clawed at them from behind. "You can't escape yourself." As they ran, Lisa felt the darkness clawing at her back, trying to snare them with its relentless grip. With every step, freedom seemed tantalizingly close. They surged forward, adrenaline flooding their veins as they approached the door. Just as they reached it, the shadows lashed out, frenetic energy spiraling around them. Lisa threw her weight against the door, throwing it wide, light flooding in and overwhelming the dark. "Now, Emily," she urged, feeling the sickening pull of shadows behind her. Hand in hand, they rushed into the light, bursting through into the unknown. The darkness howled behind them, furious, tumbling, spilling over the threshold. And then they were out, blinking in the harsh reality of the sunlit street, a world vibrant and alive. Lisa's heart crashed in her chest, pulse racing as she looked at Emily. They were free. Tears streamed down her face, relief flooding every inch of her being. "We made it, sweetheart," she sobbed, pulling Emily into a fierce embrace. "We're safe. Where's Mr. Harris?" Emily asked, her innocent curiosity untouched. Lisa paused, closing her eyes. He was still out there, lurking in the shadows, a reminder of darkness that loomed in the corners of their minds. But for now, their triumph was real. "Let us just be glad we're together," she said. "That's what matters." As they walked away from the looming house, the sun's warmth embraced them, a promise that darkness could never truly win when love binds their hearts. And with one final glance back, she knew they had conquered the shadows for now, but life would always be a choice between light and dark. And at the core of battle stood an undeniable truth: together, they would always choose light. Listen closely, because this is your moment to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these spine-chilling tales. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. Lastly, You need to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this jaw-dropping conclusion right now. Don't wait even one more second. True fans know how important it is to support the channel through your love.